that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Hi there, YouTube. I'm back again for another episode of Skip the Rules, and today we're skipping the rules for A Christmas Story, a major card game for Funko Games. It's for 3 to 6 players, ages 8 plus, take about 15 minutes to play. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is get these 4 cards and separate them to the side: the BB gun, the decoder pen, Scut Farkas, and Grover Dill. Then, the rest of the cards are just generic presents, and depending on the number of players you have, you're going to take a certain number of present cards. So in a 3-player game, you'll take 5 cards, a 4-player game, 7, a 5-player game, 9, and a 6-player game, 11 cards. But since we're setting up a 3-player game, we will only need the 5 cards, put the rest into the box. Set the leg lamp in the center, make sure everyone has their own unique colored ribbons, and put those tokens in front of them. Then you're going to take all these cards, shuffle them up, and then deal 2 cards to each player face down. No one should see what these cards are, not even the player themselves. So set that up like so. Everyone should have 2 cards. You'll set the 3 remaining cards in the center next to the lamp, and you are ready to play the game. The youngest player will start. The object of the game is to know where the decoder ring is and where the BB gun is, the 2 good presents, without having any of the bullies in front of you in your area. But the problem is, you start off by having no knowledge of what any of the cards are. So on your turn, you're going to do 1 action, and there are only 3 potential choices. The first one is to swap cards, and it's really quite simple. Let's pretend that this player is going first, and to swap cards, you can swap either of your cards with the card from the center, and then you get to peek at what the new card you gained is. So we see that we have the decoder pin. That's very good to know, and then we place a ribbon on top of it to signify that we have peeked at this card. Now, you cannot peek at it again without taking an action to peek at it again, unless you're playing with younger players, and then you can kind of house rule it. And so the player to the left will then go, and the game goes clockwise the entire game, and they're going to do the other action you can take on your turn, which is to dare, where you say, I dare you to swap one of your presents for one of my presents, and then you pick the 2 presents that you want to swap. So we'll say, I dare this player over here to swap this present. So now, this player has the choice. What do they want to do? They can either decide, sure, fine, we'll swap, in which case they just swap cards. This player does not get to look at this card, but this player now gets to look at this card and see it's a bar of soap, and then place their ribbon on top of it. And now this turn is over, so it goes over to the next player. And they're going to do another dare, because I want to show you what happens when someone decides not to take the dare. So let's just say this player right here says, I'm going to dare, and I dare you to swap me those 2 cards. And this player says, woo, I don't want anyone else knowing this is a decoder pin, because you don't have to have that item in front of you to win. You just need to know where it is. So they say, you know what? I'm not going to take that dare. I don't want anybody else knowing about this card. They wouldn't say that out loud. So now what happens is this player has to reveal one of their 2 cards. Just flip it over. So obviously they don't want anyone else to know about the decoder pin. They flip this over, and now, wow, they know they have Grover Dill, a bully. But that's not all. This player is now immediately awarded the leg lamp, which has some special abilities that you can do with it. However, this player cannot do any of them right now because their turn is over. But let's talk about what they can do in the future. So the leg lamp gives the player 2 additional actions that they could take on their turn. The first one is triple dog dare, and this is like a regular dare where you swap cards with someone else. However, they do not have a chance to turn it down, and you get to peek at the card that you swap. So if they did that as a triple dog dare, this player would peek at this card, see what it is, this player would have no choice in it, and then the leg lamp would go back to the center. The other leg lamp action you can take on your turn is called a free peek. And this action lets you look at one of your face-down cards, put a peek token on it, and then put the leg back in the center. Your turn is now over. The leg lamp has one more special trick up its sleeve, though, which is not actually an action. It's a reaction. So if someone tries to dare you while you have the leg lamp, you can refuse the dare and not flip over another card. But the leg lamp goes back into the center. Be warned, though, if someone has to take the leg lamp and you have it, they take it from you. Now, the final action you can take, and this is how you win the game, is called opening the present. So let's pretend this player decides, you know what, I'm going to try and open the presents. That means that they are saying they know where the BB gun and the decoder pin are. It doesn't have to be in front of them. And they are saying that there is not a bully in front of me. So they are going to announce by pointing where they think those 2 presents are. This can trigger a couple different things happening, so I'm going to play out every single scenario, and then you'll be ready to play the game. So let's just pretend that they go with these 2 right here. We flip them over at the same time, and they're just completely wrong. If that happens, then this player is now out of the game, their cards go into the middle, and the cards that were revealed stay face up, and now it's just between the remaining players. Likewise, if they had revealed, say, one of the presents, so they revealed the decoder pin and the bunny suit, they still have lost the game and they are out. But let's pretend they didn't get it incorrect. Let's say they picked these two cards right here, and they don't have to name which one is which. They just flip them over, and boom, they found them. They haven't won the game yet, though, because they have to reveal both their cards and hope that a bully's not there. And if they do have a bully in front of them, then they lose the game, and everybody else wins the game because they don't get beat up. And you guessed it, if they hadn't had a bully there, and they would have had just two other things, then they win the game. Two last minor rules to mention. It's not a huge deal if you have a face-up card in front of you. You can still move that card around freely like any other card. Last, if you ever get to the point where everyone in the game has a ribbon on a card, then that card just automatically gets flipped over like so. If this helped you out, please consider giving this video a like or potentially subscribing, as I post Skip the Rules videos all the time for a bunch of different games. But as always, go have some fun, and thanks for your time, YouTube.